Welcome back to Salos Wildlife Park. Let's build a grand entrance and staff area. Hi, hello, and hey to all of you watching. So I wanted to lay the groundwork for a fully functioning zoo first thing, and decided to go ahead and establish the first staff area right off the entrance. This first block is just the essentials for getting animals in. I think the vet, quarantine, trade center, keeper hut. I go in and I do add a staff room later on. But yeah, I basically use the same materials and colors I use throughout the entrance. So here I'm basically just covering the facade of those horrible shells that Plaza gives you. I kind of wanted to go with like a different shape. I didn't want it to look like the boxes all stuck together, but it kind of does at the end. But at the same time, going for a mid-century feel kind of gives some allowances for things like that. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. This is only my second video. I have quite a lot of content piled up. I will probably do 2 videos a week starting from next week. I'd also like to, the reason this is taking me so long is I tried to make a short for my last video, and every single attempt, just something was wrong with it. It was off. The resolution wasn't nice, all of the above. So basically, yeah, just a beginner content creator over here. Thank you if you're coming back. Great to have you here if you're new. If you're from Discord, special hello. Met a lot of really cool people over there. Really happy to be in a nerdy community again, especially for something as chill as Plaza. So here, I did put in 2 keeper huts, but I go in and replace them with the trade center because I realized that was a bit silly. And here I'm using the Indonesian bricks again. They're flexi color and they're just gorgeous. I think they look really realistic and suit a lot of different aesthetics. Yeah, this roof again, I've just pulled from the entrance. I don't know why I struggled to get it straight. It's just painful watching it, honestly. But I wanted to go in and do the kind of grand angles that I used through the entrance. Again, the mid-century feel, I'm just trying to keep that in mind. And also, this is really the only type of roof I know how to do in Planet Zoo. Anything regarding like the gabled roofs or anything like that, I haven't even touched. So this is me just doing the bare minimum essentially. But again, it's a staff area. It's not super important. Just something to have in the background. So if I have to look at it, I'm not upset, right? So if you missed the first episode, yeah, a bit about the park. It's basically, I've tried to make it as realistic as I possibly can, first of all. But the idea is that it was once an old schoolhouse on the edges of like a coal town in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in the USA. It's a complete nostalgia indulgence for me. I grew up going to a lot of the national parks out there. My sister was a Girl Scout. So this is entirely just basically somewhere that I would have loved to go as a kid. With my adult taste and my sad, boring, beige realism takes on everything. So this build specifically, I basically bounced between it and other things in the park, enhancing it, making it a bit bigger, more functional, adding bits and bobs and decals and all of the above, and a lot of that I haven't recorded, sadly. But I have, and they will be kind of dotted around in the next few episodes. So I do promise it does look better, but I was just really excited, as per usual, to get the animals in, and wanted to just get basically the bones of these first last steps of the entrance of establishing the zoo. So yeah, all of the mismatched little bits of wood and the concrete disgustingness there, it is all fixed. This is just a speed build, just showing what I'm doing for the bare bones bits. And I pulled these columns directly, you can see them in the background there, directly from the entrance. I think They're quite neat, and I've used them about 50 times since I made them originally. I think they really do add a lot of interest to every building and just realism, because obviously a roof needs a bit of support. Here, yeah, I am using Freebuild. You can see me struggling with the pathing as per usual, even with mods. The Planet Zoo pathing system is just a mess sometimes. It is a mess, actually, objectively. So here, I'm just deciding what to do if I can get this one thing to work. So yeah, that's pretty much the bones of the area. The bare minimum. I got the path working. Thank God. Thank God for Freebuild as well. I don't know what I was doing without it, and I have massive respect for people who play without it. But yeah, that's the first bit of the staff area. Super easy. These fences were the first bit of detailing I really did. I wanted a bit of a frame before I could move on and think about something else, just so it didn't look so dire. And speaking of dire, I did decide to go back, and I just didn't want to build a whole new building to have my trade center in. So I don't know why I didn't think of this at the beginning, but yeah, it worked, and I think it makes the area look a bit less blocky, like it's not a bunch of 4x4 blocks all stuck together. So just getting it to line up and match, and yeah, I have a trade center without a terrible amount of fuss, just extra stress that I brought on myself. Eventually, I will probably likely go back and add kind of like a cargo bay staff parking lot area behind these buildings, because to the left of the entrance and behind this is the bus parking lot, so I think that's a fine segue, a nice place to put it essentially, but in the future, because I'm procrastinating. Right, so finally we're in the entrance. These are the amazing rock walls by, I think, Caesar Creates. They're just, I constantly using them, and I think a lot of people do. A lot of them are like flexi color and just beautiful, perfect for what I needed. I genuinely wasn't sure where I wanted the first habitat to be, so this is just me mapping out the entire area. But after much deliberation, decided to just stick with making everything pretty. And so I remembered, I was thinking about all like the entrances I've seen in Planet Zoo, and the one that always sticks out to me, of course, is the Tree Frog Falls from ZSH Plays. I think it's in San Bernardino Zoo. I don't know if it's specifically the entrance, but it's a lovely plaza. It's been so long since I watched those videos, which means it's time to rewatch them. But yeah, I was like, yeah, you know what? A really modern water feature establishing the aesthetic of the park. And I took those curved pieces, and I didn't do anything on camera because I was just messing around, and of course ended up really liking it. So just whack them in there. They end up as planters with a lot of flowers. And this is... I really wish I had like a nice genius level reason for doing this painstaking manual task of laying these tiles down like this, but I genuinely don't. I don't. It was a Saturday. I had a coffee. I was watching a documentary, and yeah, I just got stuck in. I was just put in a trance, and oh my god, it was so satisfying. I spent probably about 30-45 minutes doing this, but I don't know, I felt like I'd done like an honest day's work after. I've never done something so small and manual in Planet Zoo, and it really wasn't even that big of a task, but yeah, I was quite happy with it. I had it in my head that I would go back in and use the kind of smaller pieces to create patterns or, add color of some sort, and I just didn't end up doing that. Like I said, I was just hyper-focused, and it does look nice in the end. I didn't have to worry about, I don't know, big pieces sticking out. I could basically get it to the shape that I wanted, so it all worked out in the end. And like I said, it was really satisfying. Just looking at this now, I'm like, yeah, that was fun. Getting the pattern just right throughout, and genuinely, yeah, I was quite proud of this. So yeah, back to the build itself. Like I said, yeah, tree frog bowls, they were just in the back of my mind. I just really liked the concept. I didn't want first of all, I didn't want the headache of dealing with exhibits this early on in the park. And second of all, I wanted the first habitat to be the real centerpiece, which will be in the next episode. But as I mentioned, it is a mixed habitat of the greater rhea, llamas, and alpacas, and they are in, and I absolutely adore them. I think the llamas and alpacas, I was really excited for the rhea, but the llamas and alpacas have really stolen my heart. All of their animations are so adorable, and their coats are just so unique. I really feel like they each have their own personality. So yeah, I'll get to introduce them soon. And yeah, I'm just taking foliage from everywhere else in the park that I possibly can and whacking it down. I did use these deer statues, mostly because they were the only ones I liked. But I figured, considering I'm mostly just having North American animals, it goes without saying that I'm going to have deer somewhere in the park. Out front there's a bison statue, so I think those two will be the last kind of big habitats in the park. At the moment it is quite small and compact, but I do want it to feel more like a wildlife sanctuary than anything. So easy peasy to whack those in. I didn't have to think too much about it, and they're flexi color, so beautiful stuff. I got them to match the tile. I thought it looked really nice. I did try and put like a glass barrier into that middle planter, as you can see here with the water, and I ended up taking it away because it was just messing so much with just everything. It was just a pain, and I decided it wasn't worth it. No one's going to be looking at it anyway. Let me just keep the attention on the waterfalls. In this bit of water, again, no one is going to see it, but I wanted it for my sake. It looks so nice when you're looking down onto it. So yeah, I went crazy with the special effects. Had a lot of fun. This is always my favorite part of the build. And here, I genuinely, I wanted a mountain. I didn't film a lot of it because I was just whacking every rock, every blueprint that I had down to make it look like a mountain. And yeah, there it is. I know a lot of the rocks don't match. One, because first of all, I wanted the ones around the waterfall to have a bit of a wet look. I thought having the kind of darker, more pronounced saturated color would make it look a bit more realistic. And two, I think it's just a bit more interesting. I decided to use the taiga rocks throughout the park, even though this is definitely not the taiga biome. I just think they're the prettiest rocks, and they look the best with the foliage and the animals that I picked. So yeah, I needed to have those in there, but I did want it to look natural and a bit worn in, even though this is definitely all man-made, this entire thing. On paper, completely officially, it's not natural at all. But I still tried to make it look interesting and fun. I love walking down dead trees. It just makes everything look so much more realistic and fun. Here, I was deciding what to do with these planters because I wanted them to be quite simple. Again, I wanted the eyes to go to the waterfall and the habitat, but I don't know, I couldn't really decide on what to do until at the very end, and I just whacked in some of the prettiest flowers in the game, which you'll see in the cinematics. But yeah, I did procrastinate those planters for a while because I didn't want them to look messy, and I didn't want them to look too neat either. And now it's just the great foliage escapade. Everything that I could think of, I'm putting in every nook, every cranny, make it look overgrown and natural. And yeah, what can I say? This is a foliage worshipping park, 100%. So yeah, I'm just kind of establishing the palette, if you will, of plants that I want to use throughout. Not really paying any attention to biomes or location, just the things that look and feel right to me, that fill the niche that I want them to in the build. And it's hardly a build, it's just a lot of foliage that I'm desperately trying to make look nice. And I think it does in the end, but this bit where it looks just like a pile of rocks and some other random bits, it is difficult to get through, but it's always worth it in the end with Planet Zoo. So yeah, I cut out a lot of this because it's just me putting down plants. But the mostly finished product already looks pretty good. I sunk a lot of trees down and I added a lot of these dead ones, as you can see, just for a bit more realism and interest. Yeah, here I am sinking down those poor trees I whacked everywhere. And just touching up the rock work. I honestly, every time I look at this, I whack a new rock on it. I don't think I'll ever be fully finished with this. But yeah, finally we're onto something a bit more interesting, which is the welcome sign. And I genuinely don't know where I got this idea from. I think because I wanted a vertical welcome sign and I had this tree down, I was like, that just feels like something that would be super cute and would work with the theme of the park. And yeah, I put those flowers in. I think they're the perfect color. Again, they look like a natural kind of wildflower situation that might be local to the area, so I thought it worked. It didn't look too proper, and yeah, that's the welcome sign. And the last big step is adding a bit of realism. So I added brackets. I originally just wanted the letters on the tree, and I was like, no, let me just stop cutting corners. Added the brackets, and then the final step is lighting. I said this in the first episode, but genuinely, I just love lighting. I wanted my zoo to look nice both in the day and at night. And as boring and banal as that may be, I've decided to stick with it. Mostly because of these little guys. These little like solar path lights are amazing. I think they just bring an area from like a 5 to a 10 instantly. They are really lovely, romantic, and the perfect amount of light for like an atmospheric feel. So I've stuck about 50 of them throughout this little area. So just a nice warm color. Yeah, perfect little lights. But yeah, after this, that's pretty much the whole build done. And we can move on to the actual park, which is exciting. So yeah, this has been episode 2, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.